How can governments use analytics to boost program integrity? Governments in Canada deliver thousands of costly programs to citizens. What if they could save millions by doing one thing? With data analytics, you can dramatically reduce fraud, waste, and abuse in programs. Here are 5 tips from the experts at SAS to get you started.
The first step in solving a fraud, waste, or abuse problem is organizing your data. In fact, preparing your data so it's fit for our use case is a really important step and typically takes 80% of our analysts' time. The things we need to do include something called entity resolution. Entity resolution is about linking things that are similar but don't look exactly the same. Take names, for example. I was introduced as Dan Finnerty, but more formally I'll be Daniel, and in fact my legal name is James Daniel. Entity resolution allows us to bring all of those different representations in our data together so we can link these records so we can more accurately measure the risk and be able then to take the appropriate action to reduce the impact of fraud, waste, and abuse. That's why first step is always bringing all your data together.
Quite often organizations start by looking at advanced analytics, machine learning, and quite often it's much easier to start with something small and simple, like a bad list. So collecting the data on known fraudsters or gathering data from third parties and bringing that into the organization and using it to screen onboarding, to use in detecting fraudsters that are returning to the organization. That'll set you up for advanced analytics and machine learning in the future because you've got examples of what the fraudsters have been doing and you've identified them. You'll be able to build those models, identify the patterns that are being used, and ultimately grow your fraud program.
So adopting or improving on a risk-based approach can yield enormous benefits to an organization. In an ideal situation, we would have the resources to look at every potential event, but we know that the reality is quite different. Treating everything with the same priority increases the potential loss to an organization, whether that be monetary or reputational. It's important to quantify risk using various analytical techniques, such as business rules, machine learning, geospatial or temporal analysis, to develop a risk score which allows organizations to identify and prioritize the greatest risk. Once you know the risks, you then have the ability to develop a plan of attack.
It's important to include your inspectors in every step of the process. In today's world where artificial intelligence and analytics allows a machine to make a decision, it's ever more important to have humans involved. In government use cases where you're trying to detect fraud, waste, and abuse, lives and livelihood can be at stake. And so the human element involving the inspector is critically important. That can take shape in a couple of different ways. Using the inspector's thought process to develop your analytics and rules helps ground the process. Understanding and organizing your data in a way that an inspector or an investigator can use it to navigate the situation is also helpful. In the end, an inspector and investigator is going to make the decision about what's happening, and you want to make sure that they have an understanding of the artificial intelligence and the decision to make the right choice. Throughout your process, include your investigator in the development.
First thing you really need to do is to create a common vision that can underpin your success or your failure right from the very beginning. Start with influence. You need to create a wide circle of input, get the buy-in, and use that buy-in to create the best ideas and decisions. It doesn't have to be one answer that's right. Try out 2 or 3 or 4 different things. The idea here is to gain influence and share your success to help create momentum. The most successful projects that I've seen, no matter where they were, started with small early wins that were promoted well, communicated well, internally and externally, and then they were able to grow from there.